This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go. Welcome back to the Clark Connection Podcast, the place where leadership meets real life. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach, and today's episode is a powerful blend of business, leadership, and personal truth. And we're sitting down with someone who has walked the walk from managing in the fast pace of the world of retail to leading HR operations at a major tech company. Sandy Michelet brings over 2 decades of experience to the table, and today she's opening up about the real backbone of organizational success, culture. But this conversation goes far beyond business. Sandy also shares her deeply personal journey through childlessness and how she turned pain into purpose by creating community for women walking that same path. We talk about leadership, mindset, building your own personal board of directors, and even swap book recommendations for you to fuel your growth. But before we dive in, got to give a special shout out to my premier sponsors, Vicki Hubbard with Hubbard Flooring Studios. Vicki and her team are masters at transforming spaces and laying down foundations of beauty and strength, just like the foundations we build in leadership. Whether you're looking to refresh your home or reimagine your workspace, Hubbard Flooring Studios has you covered from the ground up. Visit them at their site at Boylan Avenue in Baton Rouge. Give them a call at 225-924-1582 or explore their amazing work on their website, hubbardflooringstudios.com. Remember, great leadership starts with a strong foundation, and Vicki and her team know exactly how to set that in place. Make sure you give them a call and tell them the coach sent you. Also want to thank Wayne with 7K Metals. See him for all your silver and gold needs. Then we've got Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, your destination for holistic healing and craniosacral therapy. Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, bringing ease and efficiency to your business. Joseph with Landscape King, creating beautiful outdoor spaces, 1 yard at a time. C&J Embroidery, creating custom designs that make your brand pop. And look, we're so grateful for their support. Make sure you hit them up. Tell them the coach sent you. All of their information, it is listed below. And if you've got questions or just want to connect, click the link in the show notes to fill out a quick form that I'd love to hear from. Now, the person you've all been here wanting to learn more about, Sandy Michelet. Sandy she was the Director of Learning and Development at Gulf Coast Wireless for 5 years. She then transitioned to HR Director for the Shaw Group. After that, she moved to the Executive Director of the Louisiana Department of Education. Spent some time as Senior Director of Human Resources at Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge. She now is currently serving as the Vice President of Human Resources at Sparkhound for over 10 years. And she has spent over 20 years as a keynote speaker and trainer in the Baton Rouge and all sorts of different areas. Phenomenal person. So make sure you grab a notebook and something to write with and get ready to be inspired. So let's dive into my conversation with Sandy. All right, and welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thank you.
And so appreciate you hopping on here, spending a little bit of time with us to share with the listeners and the viewers your experiences throughout your leadership journey. But quick question, what is Sparkhound?
So Sparkhound is an IT consulting company. The short version is that we make your companies run better. We are 26 years old, based in Baton Rouge, but have offices in Birmingham, Dallas, Houston, and Baton Rouge. Have employees pretty much all over the United States, and incredible company. I've been there 11 years.
Yeah. And then I got to make sure I watch what I say, because being in HR, you might be sending me a packing or writing me up or something right now. So we gotta
I'm not that kind of HR person.
Oh, no, I'm joking. And so lots of that long, because I know one I want to get into, you'd mentioned about the childless life. I'm going to want to get into that a little bit later. But let's kind of start with, your leadership journey. I mean, lots of great experience that a lot of people can learn from. So how did you get to where you are?
Well, I started out in retail, actually at a store in Birmingham. I thought I wanted to spend my life in retail, and it just really wasn't for me. I came back to Baton Rouge and went to work for a wireless company. I really enjoy the technology part of it. I was in sales. Went from there and I started doing some training, and I was in training for many, many years. I enjoyed helping people find the answers to things. I enjoyed helping people figure out how to do their jobs better. I really enjoyed that. I realized, though, that people were often, after training, would say, well, I'm not able to do that because of this. And it wasn't a skill. It was more of an operational thing of why they could not do that. Maybe they didn't have the tools where they were, or maybe their boss thought that they should be doing it differently. Well, the training wasn't working because of all of those things. So I moved over to the HR operations side and really haven't looked back. I've been doing that 18, 20 years at this point, I guess, and absolutely, absolutely love it. Like I said, I've been with Sparkhound for 11 years and have watched the company grow and do great things and expand, and it's been a great joy.
Right. And now when you say you were doing training, you were at a wireless company doing training, what did you mean with that?
I was Now this was 25 years ago. So phones were out, kind of coming out everywhere, and helped people understand helped employees understand this is how technology works. This is what it means if you've got problems with your phone. It could be a million and one reasons. How do you approach a customer? How do you deal with a customer that is having challenges? How do you review a bill and help find the best way for customers to save money? I mean, it's the industry is so different now that a lot of things that we were doing back then are no longer what they're training on. The most important thing that we trained on, though, was focusing on the customer. And that's something that I still think is important. And regardless of what you're doing in your industry, taking care of the customer or the client is the most important thing. And those principles then and those principles now are the exact same.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's like I tell everybody, the most impactful book I'll tell everybody to read is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell them, go to the original copy, not the whatever ones they got.
It's been updated several times.
Yeah. I just love, I think because it shows that Dale Carnegie was talking about in the 1930s is still so applicable today in 2025.
Yeah. Being a good person, wanting to understand what else is going, seeking to understand all of those things. Absolutely. Yeah.
People are people, whether they're in New York, LA, or right here in Baton Rouge. People are people. So yeah, I think that the right thing is focused on the customer, focused on the people. And so moved into HR. So kind of give us a little bit. And I know when people hear HR, all they think is, man, I'm going to the principal's office. But that's not all you guys do. I know that.
I hate that. I hate that connotation of HR, because to me, what HR does is helps support the business and helps the business run better. And helps the business figure out what they need. I do everything I can. My role is not to to be in the way. My role is not to be a bird. My role isn't to say you can or can't do this. My role is to pull the data, figure out what is going on, and then make a recommendation. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is how I can support. This is what we can create for you to help you better onboard your employees. This is what we can do to help keep morale going and help continue to build a culture. To me, that is what HR is. Yes, there are compliance issues and there are handbooks and all of those things. But to me, that's just the very foundation. That is not what, to me, a true HR group does. All of those things are absolutely required. You cannot run an effective company without all of that. But where I get the greatest joy is working with the leaders, working with the employees to continue to make the company as great as it can be. That's the passion that I have about it. And that's why I have done it for 25 years.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I know I made the joke because I know my HR department is awesome. I'll always ask, like, all right, if I'm wanting to do, could I do? Okay, I can't do that. That would get me. All right, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. How can I do it?
Yeah.
How can
that's usually the next question. All right, so if I can't do it like this, how can I
do it? What is the way? What is the way we can figure this out? Yeah. And there are so many. It bothers me so much that HR gets a terrible rap. And just like every industry and every position, there are greats and bads of every industry. I have stayed in this for so long because the companies that I've been honored enough to work with have been great and have seen the value of what people that do what I do actually do. And I'm very involved in the HR community. I've been involved in our local SHRM and our state chapter. I've been involved in the national SHRM, and those are people that want to make companies better. And I love that. I love being a part of such a huge group that wants to support companies.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge part of becoming a better leader. Like you're saying, getting involved in those groups and networking and meeting other thought leaders who can help you become better.
Yeah. Well, and it's also helpful when I've done this a million times. This is what, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about speaking, but when I talk on speaking, it's the power of networking. And when you build that network, what do you have that network for? And how are you leveraging that network? Well, I want to answer the phone when someone calls and says, Sandy, I am trying to figure something out. What do you think? And I pick up the phone and do the same thing. Hey, I've got an issue. I cannot freaking figure this out. How would you do it? And I love that. That's the great thing about networking back and forth, is being able to solve problems with a group that is bigger than just you. You've got your internal team, but then you've also got resources outside of that team where you can call and say, hey, how did you guys do this? How did you do this? Help me out with this. And that I think is the true power of networking, because people want to do business with people that they want to do business with. Someone told me that 30-something years ago, and I love that. And I want to learn from people that are great at what iron sharpens iron. And I love the idea of being able to continue to improve my skills by talking with people that are great at what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with being in the HR industry, though, you were talking about, hey, my job is to help build up the team around the business, help business continue to grow. Like, what are things that you do or maybe have done to help build up the team around you?
Well, there's two different pieces of it. One of them is just kind of what I call the HR infrastructure, which is ensuring that things are running correctly. And in a lot of organizations, and I think most organizations, the data starts with HR. So there is when we decide that we're going to post a position, what is their title going to be? What is their compensation going to be? Who are they going to report to? What business unit do they report to? all of that really matters, because that is how all of that data that starts there is how it feeds into a system when you're looking at the P&L and you're looking at the GL and all of that. All of that data starts there. So the source of record is very often HR or HR system. So it's that type of thing. What is the structure? What does the structure look like? What, like I said, what is the reporting structure? What systems do you have in place? All of those things that I think is the very basic HR infrastructure. And that has to be done to ensure that the data is right, that the financial side is right. All of that is right. Because if it starts here, if it's wrong, we've got a huge issue, because you cannot accurately report financials if you have people that are in the wrong areas or in the wrong cost codes and that kind of thing. So that's one side of the house. And the other side of the house is figuring out how do we continue to build what is there, or how do we build something that is not there? One thing that's been really great with Sparkhound is the culture and building the culture and growing the culture. And like many organizations, COVID came through and really changed the face of companies and what that looks like. And so we've been asking, in fact, we just sent out a pulse survey last week to say, let's talk about what in-person activities look like. What are you wanting? Because we could build something that is great and amazing and beautiful, but if the employees and the leaders are like, no, well then that's wrong. That's wrong, because it starts with, what does our executive leadership want? What does the culture want? For us, what does our CEO want? And what does that look like? And then how do we start funneling down? Are we building programs that make sense for employees? Are we building programs that make sense for leaders? One of the things that we did recently was we had annual performance reviews that employees hated, managers hated, HR hated, everybody hated it. They were long, they were lengthy, they were difficult, and then worse, nobody wanted, they were terrifying. They were a lot of effort. And at the end of the day, were they making a positive impact on performance? And were they making a positive impact on the company? Because if not, then why are we doing this? So we sat in a room and we were like, this is not, how are we going to do this? So we broke it up a little bit into more of quarterly check-ins, and doing quarterly check-ins and ensuring that we are obviously talking with the employees, a lot, but then ensuring every quarter is kind of a good check-in of, are you meeting the core values? And we use the EOS framework. The EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System is a framework for running a business, and we use EOS. Are the employees meeting the core values? Some of the time, most of the time, or none of the time. So we go through that. And then we figure out, are they in the right seat within the company? Do they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do the job? So are they the right person? Are they in the right seat? We do that once a quarter. And what that's done is allow managers and employees to sit down for that one time and really talk about, are they in the right seat? Are they doing a great job? What do they need? What resources do they need? And all of that. And got rid of that formal, lengthy annual performance review. And that's something that we've really put a lot of emphasis in lately, is ensuring that those employees get the resources that they need.
Yeah. And that's important too in any industry, as the leader, to make sure that you're not just, if I'm over here doing something, why am I doing it if it's not benefiting everybody else? So I love that you'd said that, hey, we took a step back. What do we have to do? Like, should we go over here? Let's talk to the people. That's one that I'll tell everybody often. That's why I love talking to my people on the ground, because they may go, hey, Mr. Aaron, this issue over here, issue A, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but if you just did this, that could solve that problem. And it's like, thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah.
I'll go fix that now.
Yeah. Because because you're doing it every day. Like that's
Yes.
that's the thing. And the one thing I think when kind of setting culture, I do believe that culture starts from the top. And that when an organization is setting culture, when I said that we sent out a pulse survey, what we want, it's kind of a top and the bottom. Like the goal is to do X, Y, and Z. That's the goal. But the employees often can have input on the how. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this make sense for the employees? And how do we do it where you want to attend an in-person event? What does that look like? Because what I would plan as an in-person event is not going to be as cool and incredible as what the employees come up with. It's just not. They're much cooler and hipper than I am. So I'm gonna defer to them.
I find that hard to believe. You're pretty cool.
Oh no. I may sound cool on paper. In real life, it's just really not happening. But really listening to the employees, and then ensuring that from the executive leadership standpoint, you're figuring out, and I think that's kind of your role as an HR leader is balancing those two.
Absolutely. And hey, guys, if you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, make sure you like, subscribe, follow the show. Drop a comment. Do you agree, disagree with what Sandy's been saying so far about HR and how they should or shouldn't be used? Give us what you guys may or may not be doing with that. And so that kind of going to shift a little bit on us right here, Sandy. That one we talked about and you talked about is like the importance of the mindset of the leader. And when getting to know each other and talking, catching up real quick. And so tell us, like, what role does that play for you as a leader, your mindset?
I think that a leader has to surround themselves with people who know what they are doing. But a leader should, I believe, be a coach, be a cheerleader, be someone who is helping to make things better than the way that they found it. And I think that my leadership journey has changed as I've gotten older. When I was much younger, when I was 22 years old, I was running a huge cosmetic company and a massive retail store in Birmingham. And I was like, well, this is the way we're going to do it because I'm 22 and I'm a genius. And I remember at 20, because you know everything at 20. I still know nothing. So, but I remember saying something like, well, I've got a business to run. And I didn't even know what that really meant, but I heard someone much older than I was say it. And I thought that was amazing. And now I'm such a different leader and still figuring it out. I don't think it's something you never get to the finish line and you're like, I have figured this out. But realizing that people have great ideas. How do you take all of those great ideas and harness those? How do you bring energy and problem solving to what leadership can look like? How do you know when to step away and take a breath? That is something that I have definitely learned over the years. Sometimes it is, let's take a quick break. This conversation's getting a little rough. Let's just take a quick break. Everybody grab a Diet Coke or a coffee or whatever you need, and let's come back in 15 minutes and let's try to solve this. One of the biggest things I think the leaders that I've respected the most, the leaders that I've worked with, the leaders that I think have been most impactful are the leaders that realize that the leadership is an ability to work with people who are extremely good at what they do, but realize that these are human beings that are doing their job and coming to work every day to do a job, but that is not everything in their life. And one thing, as horrible as COVID was, and it was absolutely horrible, that we really started looking at the people as, and realizing that people have lives outside of what they do during the day. I had to do, about 15 years ago, I had to do a termination, which unfortunately in my role is something that I've done many times, unfortunately. But I did a termination. It was with someone who had kind of gotten caught up in something, and it was very unfortunate, but a termination was necessary. And I left there and I went to dinner with a group of people, and someone said, "Oh, I would love to do that. I would love to fire people." And I said, that is the worst attitude ever, because regardless if someone does something wrong or not, what they have to do is leave that conversation and call their family. And as difficult as it is for the person delivering that message, it is nowhere near as difficult as it is for that person hearing that message. And that empathy and that understanding is something that I think we've seen a lot more from leaders since COVID, of realizing that we are all just trying to figure this out. We are all just trying to figure this out, and let's give each other a little bit of grace. And that's something that I think has really impacted me as a leader as my leadership career has continued, and then as I've gotten older.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And that's one that I'll tell people. I thought a lot of good stuff came out of COVID. That one, like you said, that more people are starting to care, like, oh, what's going on with Mary over there? Let's actually care about our people in general. And then, I'll tell everybody that too. They're like, oh yeah, at the boss, you get to hire, fire. I'm like, guys, I've probably fired more people than I'd like to admit, but it never gets easy. It's never, you feel horrible every time afterwards. And the only thing that makes it easy for me is I know I'm looking out for the benefit of my team. I know that I'm looking out for the group as a whole, not just that whatever, but it's never easy to have to tell somebody, hey, this isn't working out. It's like go break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. And and that's, that's one small aspect of what HR does. And sometimes that's the one that people focus on. They focus on the hiring and the firing, and that's it. But the thing is that you're wanting to work with when you're hiring somebody, you're hiring them that they are going to stay with the company, hopefully for a long time. So you're walking with them through their entire life cycle. You're walking with them through their life cycle of the company, but then also their life, and helping them through every aspect of their life, from benefits to if they're relocating to retirement, to all of those things, because that's really what we're here to do, is to support and provide guidance where we can.
Yeah. And the one that I love that you said was starting at the beginning with, so I like to talk about, as a Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, coach, the 5 levels of leadership and so when you're like, you're going to do this because I said so, that to go into where you are now, like, well, a 22-year-old Sandy probably didn't have it all together. She was proactive. She was aggressive, which is stuff we need.
Yeah. So different. The 56-year-old Sandy doesn't have it all together either. And I think that's one thing, is just the figuring. It's almost that humility of, right. I love leaders that I can talk with that are extremely confident, but then also say, I don't know the answer to that. Let's figure it out. Because if you're being authentic, if you're trying to be tough and Superman in front of me, I'm going to see through that. All of us are going to see through that. But if there's that authenticity and that laughter of, we missed the boat on that one, didn't we? Let's laugh for 2 seconds and then figure out how to solve it, because we're all just trying to do that. We're all just trying to figure out how to be good at what we do, effective at what we do, and
So that's part of the growth journey as the leader. It's our job. We should be the first one stepping up to learn and grow and come through that. Because sometimes, people think, oh, as I get older, I'll be able to move into these roles because that'll make me a leader. Well, sometimes with age just comes age, not maturity, because you didn't learn from what was going on that to creating to who you are now as the person that actually cares about the people they work with, but also realizing it's a business. We got to push and grow.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I've seen 30-year-old leaders that have been absolutely incredible. And I've seen 60-year-old leaders that I'm like, man, you're just still trying to figure this out. And go talk to the 30-year-old because they figured that out. I definitely don't think it's an age thing. We've got some leaders that have been in their career for 5 years, 10 years that are incredible. And, but they're open to listening and learning and trying to figure out how to grow better and those types of things.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of like one of the other things you were talking about was as y'all were putting together your events, while getting to get everybody's opinion. I think that's one we've learned as we get older, that it's done. I don't always have to have the best opinion and have to be right, but as long as I figure out what the right answer is and let's all move forward, that comes with that being open and listening to having other mentors and people that you network with that can go, oh man, Aaron, I can't believe you did that, dude. But let me tell you, I did that 5 years ago. And so that's why I'm laughing at it, because you messed up, because I messed up. And so that we can all learn from it, or just having that mentor there with you that can, all right, no, Aaron, you're going we need you to move more than this way. Get back to center. You're over here on the right. Let's get you back and going. And so they're kind of looking to shift gears again, just a little bit, right, as we're starting to wind down. So you mentioned that you're also the childlesslife.com. Tell us a little bit more about that. What is it and how did that get?
So the Childless Life. So I am childless. I was never able to have a child. My husband and I have been married now 25 years, and we tried for about 15 years. Just was not in the cards for us. And about, I don't know how long ago at this point, but I realized that the grief that I had was consuming my life, and found some resources to help me a little bit. But there are a lot of resources for people going through infertility. And there are a lot of people who are trying to conceive, TTC. There are not a lot of resources for people who are crossing over to that other side, who are recognizing that having a child is never going to happen for me. And so I started a website and a blog called thechildlesslife.com. And the goal was to provide as many resources as I could and then post a blog. And I had blog stories going out constantly because I was just in the middle of grief and in the middle of frustration and all of that. But what happened there was that women from around the world, which was incredible. So many women from around the world were hitting this blog every week. What I realized was that they wanted to talk. They wanted to talk back. They wanted to talk, and they wanted to talk with each other. So I started a private Facebook group called The Childless Life. And the purpose of that was to provide support for women to realize that they're not alone. And one thing when going through childlessness is that it seems that everywhere you look, someone is having a baby. Everywhere you look, there are pregnant people. Everywhere you look, there are children. And that is just a fact of life. It is reality. The challenge with that, though, as a childless person is...
Hey, Sandy. All right, you're back.
Okay.
I lost you for a second. So you were saying the challenge of the childless.
Well, the challenge of being childless is that there are people everywhere around you who are pregnant, who are having children, or who already have children. So there are kids everywhere. You can't get away from that. So what a person going through grief is doing is kind of backing away. And so there is that incredible sense of loneliness. Just, I feel like no one understands what I'm going through. So the great thing about this Facebook group is that women, again, from all over the world are in this group, is seeing that you're not by yourself. And when so-and-so said something at work and it hurt your feelings, oh my gosh, there's a person halfway across the world, someone said something similar to her, and this is how she handled it. My goal when I started it was to have 100 women join that group. And I thought, if I can get 100 women, that's a pretty strong number. I have about 3,200 women that are on that Facebook group all the time. And they are talking about their grief, but they're also talking about their successes. And someone just bought a new condo, and someone is getting ready to travel to Italy, and somebody just got a great new job, and somebody learned how to grow a tomato, and all of these things that are great. And they've got a community. We have built a community of women who are very close friends from around the world. And so I started with a blog with thechildlesslife.com and then a private Facebook group. And now I'm actually writing a book, and found a publisher, and the book is coming out this October 2025. I do not have a name for it yet, or I would be shouting that from the rooftops. We're still working on the name. But the idea,
the publisher comes up with the name.
Well, we're going back and forth. I've thrown out some, they've thrown out some, and both of us are like, no, we don't like that. So we've got to figure it out. But the reason why I named it The Childless Life was that I wanted to talk about living, and that being childless is one aspect of your life, but it's not your identity. It's not who you are. You are a great, incredible, powerful, impactful person that's going to leave a legacy, even though you may not believe it right now. There is a legacy that you are leaving. The legacy you're leaving is not a child that you gave birth to or adopted. It's something, though, and it's something great. So the book walks through kind of that beginning of grief, walks through all of the phases of grief, and then talks about guilt, because there's so much, and then gets to the end where it's really focusing on, what is this childless life that you want to build that is going to make you happy, that is going to make you feel like the whole person that you are. It's going to make you realize that you are much more of a rock star than maybe you can see where you are right now. So it starts off kind of in a sad, and I talk through my story, but then I also have stories of women from the group who are also childless, who are talking about things that have happened to them. And so I weave all of their stories in throughout the book. And I'm very excited about it. I'm so proud of this group and how this group has grown and how protective of each other they are. And it's just been, it's something that I never knew that I always needed. It's an incredible group of incredible women. And I'm so thrilled for this book to come out, because I want childless women and people who love the childless to realize that there is a 20% of the world, 20% of the women in the world are actually childless. That's a big number.
Wow.
A massive number. But you just don't see that because people don't talk about it. And when I started talking about it, people are like, oh, well, we thought you wanted that. We didn't think you wanted children because you were so focused on your career. Well, no, I could be focused on my career and have a child. It just, it's a huge number. So I'm hoping that there's a lot of awareness, and with awareness and knowledge comes action. And hopefully with that comes change. And so I'm very excited about this book coming out and hopefully making an impact to one woman's life. I think that would be great. Hopefully more, but one would be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I think it really goes back to, why, with what I'm hearing behind it though, is look for that network or community no matter what you're doing. You talked about the importance of it and having that group to be able to help you, because whether you're a struggling entrepreneur or a woman struggling with that, with what the childless life. They can't have children. Anything in between, guys. That find the network of people that you can lean on that understands. Because I can't relate to the childless life. I just can't. But that Sandy just said there's 3,200 women that understand what you're going through. Connect with them
in that group. And then that doesn't include the rest of the women in the world. And that's what's so powerful. And there are also things about how childlessness impacts, like you said, you don't know the childless life, you don't, but you have employees who may be living it, who may not be talking about it. And there are people that you are friends with, or people in your circle, or your or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a big thing. One of the things that I wanted to hit on that we haven't had a chance to hit on is we've talked about that importance of building a network that's strong for you. But I also very, very much believe in the power of building your own personal board of directors. And I have a personal 8 people that I consider on my personal board of directors. And those are people that I know are going to cheer me when I'm down. They're people that I know that are going to cut me at the knees when I need it. They are people who are going to say, that was a very bad idea. Very bad idea. But those are people who want me to be successful. So one thing that I very, very strongly encourage everybody listening to this is figure out who is that personal board of directors for you, that can help you with your professional life, but then also people that you know personally that can support you and build and grow, help you to be a better person, because none of us are doing any of this alone. I'm not growing this community alone. I'm not running HR alone. I'm not one leadership person on the leadership team. And we are all growing this and trying to make our companies better, our families better, the childless community better, the world better, all of those things. And having that group of people that you can call and say, I need some help. Can we go grab coffee? There's not enough money in the world to pay for that kind of advice and loyalty from people that have been with you for a long time.
Absolutely. And I'll tell anybody, you become the sum of the top 5 people that you hang around with the most. So having those people around you, because if they're going to pump life into you whenever you're struggling, that you're going to believe, the mind is so cool because it will believe what you tell it. So if you go tell yourself every day you're junk, well, guess what you're going to do? Stuff that somebody who's junk would do. But if you tell yourself you're worthy, that you can do all this, and you got people around you that believe that too, man. I say you stole my last question from me. That's always my last question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I think that's why the imposter syndrome is so horrible, is because people really they start. It is like, a bad snowball that's running down the hill, and it's picking up all of this junk as it's going. And pretty soon, like, I'm completely clueless at everything I do, and I'm a horrible person, and I'm bad, and I can't do this, and I can't wait a minute. Let's stop. Let's go get some French fries and a Diet Coke, and let's talk this out, because you're not. You're really a rock star, and you're really great at what you do. Why are you feeling like you're not? Let's take a breath, and let's start talking about all of the good, and then we're going to solve the problem. But we need to start with getting you back to center and realizing that that everybody makes a positive impact. It just looks different the way that they do it.
Absolutely. And so one that I like to talk about too, or I always ask everybody as we're kind of winding down, is I believe all leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but if you're a leader, you're a learner. So you're constantly working on yourself. So what is one book that you would recommend to every entrepreneur or leader starting out?
My favorite is The 5 Dysfunctions of Teams. I have read that book, I don't know, 8 times, 10 times. I'll pick it up. I'll roam through a closet and I'll find it one day and I'll sit down and I'll read it. It is a light book that's easy to read, but it really focuses on companies and teams that we've probably all been on. I don't know anyone that's ever read that book that cannot see someone that they know in that book or themselves in that book. And I think it is a great book, and it talks about a new leader coming into an organization and seeing everything from fresh eyes. And sometimes that's great, is having somebody that knows absolutely nothing coming in and saying, interesting, and starting to ask questions. And it's got great tips. It's my absolute favorite. Absolute favorite.
And I just kind of got into Patrick Lencioni's stuff.
Yeah.
So, he's a great, great, great author, that speaker, coach, guys, that phenomenal.
Yeah.
It'll be a story based for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then what about like a book that you're currently reading or maybe just finished reading?
I just started Let Them by Mel Robbins. I just started that. I had been looking forward. It was actually hard to find. For whatever reason.
That is, I want to read that one.
Well, I thought I had it right here. It's somewhere. It's got a green cover. I wanted to buy it in a bookstore. It's funny when you're writing a book, all of a sudden, I want to go into I'm in a bookstore constantly. It drives my husband crazy. I want to go in a bookstore and a library constantly. I love the smell of stuff. I know it's weird. It's really weird. But this book, I know so many people who have recommended this book, and I love Mel Robbins. I think she's incredible. And
she is.
It just focuses, and like I said, I just started reading it. But the idea of just let it go, because we have gotten way too caught up. And I know that I personally have gotten way too caught up, and everything has to be a certain way, and it's got to be great.
And people have to like me. And
just breathe. And so I'm very excited. Now I'm working on a deadline trying to finish my book. So I haven't done a lot of reading lately. So once that's finished, and I can go back to the other side of being a reader as opposed to writing. I can't wait for that.
And I can't wait till it comes out. I'll definitely put it in on my list of ones to read.
Yes, I'm very, very excited. And I've got plans for others after that, and some other kind of support things that are going to go along with it. And that's just a massive population of the community that often they fade into the background because of things that happen, and actually very often companies sometimes don't even realize the benefits and the onboarding and the orientation that they're doing can inadvertently keep people from feeling included. And so I've got some things about that in the book. Benefit plan design, all of that. Families look different. Parental status looks different. Make sure that you're including everyone in your benefit plan design, and the way that you're structuring your PTO and the approval process and all of that. There's a lot. It's one of those peel and onion things. Once you start peeling it back, it's just like anything. Everything is a peel and onion. Nothing is simple. Everything is peeling an onion back and saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize all of these things." And it's kind of cool.
So just like writing the book. You're like, that's easy. Oh no, now I got to do this long.
3 weeks. 3 weeks, this sucker's going to be finished. And my gosh. But it really, I have always respected authors, and I've always respected songwriters, because to be able to put and then be able to convey through words and through sounds an emotion that can make you either feel triumphant or bring you to tears in 3 minutes is incredible. For an author to be able to bring somebody on a journey in a book and make you feel as if you're there, I just think that's so incredible. And what a talent. I'm just obsessed with reading, and I do it constantly. So I'm very thrilled to have this book done so I can go back to the other side, which is just reading constantly.
Oh, I get it. And so, Sandy, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they connect with you?
They can reach me at sandy.michelet I'll give my Gmail, sandy.michelet@gmail.com. And actually on LinkedIn's probably the best way. It's Sandy Michelet. And I'm on LinkedIn all the time.
And I'll make sure to put those down below, guys. They don't work. It's like if you're driving or whatnot, I don't want you to try to write or pull out your phone and start text. So he'll be there, that down below.
Yeah, reach out on LinkedIn. That's the best.
And she gets back to you real quick, I promise you.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. Me, not so much. But Sandy, she's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, Sandy, I appreciate you getting on here and sharing your experiences and your stories. We'll definitely have to do this again.
Yes, this was incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you asking.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. I want to thank Sandy for sharing not just her expertise in HR and leadership, but also her vulnerability and heart. Conversations like this remind us that leadership is about more than just strategy. It's about people, purpose, and being real. And so, if you're building a business, leading a team, or just trying to grow as a person, I hope that today's episode challenged and encouraged you. And so I want to share with y'all my top 5 takeaways from today's episode with Sandy. And the first one is that culture begins with leadership. As she constantly was talking about how it's important that for it to start, it's got to start at the top. It's got to go from the top and it carries all the way down. And then she talked about HR being fuel for business growth. These aren't guys. And I mean, I joked about it with her and picked a little bit but HR, your human resources, there's so much more than the going to the principal's office. They're really, really, really important and vital for your growth as a business. Third, she talked about how important it is to network and how it's an asset to you as a leadership. Now remember, a lot of people don't get hired because of what they know. They get hired because of who they know. They get those jobs because of who they know. So make sure you're networking. Fourth was mindset drives everything. What you think you are is what you will truly be. So make sure you get rid of that stinking thinking. And 5, pain can birth purpose. I mean, she talked about and was vulnerable about how dealing with being childlessness, they really affected her. But now using that to motivate, not just women around her, but women around the world. So phenomenal, so phenomenal. And if you're listening this week, the week of that this releases, they actually have a conference talking about that. So make sure you jump on there and go listen. I'm sure you can go back and rewatch it because Sandy will be amazing. And listen, that just like building a great team takes intentionality and precision, building a great space does too. That's why we're proud to be sponsored by Hubbard Flooring Studios. If you're ready to upgrade your home or office with top-notch flooring and service, give Vicki and her team a call at 225-924-1582 or visit hubbardflooringstudio.com. And as always, if this episode inspired you, make sure you subscribe, like, follow, and leave us some sort of comment and rating. Give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Click all the buttons. And if you're ready to take your next step in your leadership journey, connect with me on all socials at coach_A_Clark. I would love to walk with you through your personal growth journey. And remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.